Today I'm going to be looking at the Emperor's Wrath Darth Vader figure. This is an exclusive in the Hasbro 6-inch line of figures from the Black Series. And it's exclusive to Walgreens, although I actually got this from drugstore.com, which is an affiliated company, I guess. I don't know that these are actually in stores yet, but some people like myself have been able to order them online. Now what this is essentially just a repack of the original Black Series Darth Vader figure with a couple of changes which I'll go over shortly. On the front we have some line art of Darth Vader being electrocuted, and also his stump of a hand is displayed fairly prominently there. On the back, well, first of all on the side you can see it has no number, as is the case with all of the exclusives I've covered so far. On the back it says, "Unable to watch his son Luke Skywalker die at the hands of the Emperor, Darth Vader received a lethal blast of Force lightning as he hurled his master to his doom." When I first heard about this figure, I was not particularly interested because, I don't know, it looked weird in the promotional shots, and I kind of figured that it was just a translucent head and that was it. But I discovered a few things about it that partially at least changed my mind about it. I'm going to see what it looks like outside of the package and see if it's something worth getting. And here we have the figure in all its glory. It's a little weird looking, I'll have to be honest. If you didn't know sort of the rationale behind this look, you might think that something had gone horribly wrong in the creation of this toy, but or that it was some sort of prototype, maybe. But in fact, this is intentional. It looks pretty similar to the original Vader figure. In fact, let me bring that out right here. There we are. Now these are a little hard to get to stand up properly, I've found, so we'll see if that'll work. In terms of the paint, it's more or less identical, I think. Where there's something of a difference is the use of soft goods. This is the original Vader here, and you can see there's cloth actually here, but it's very tightly attached, I guess you'd say. It's very flush with the body, and over here on the exclusive version, it's just sort of hanging open like this, and it's kind of uneven here. I may be able to fix this a little bit, but I thought I'd show how it looks out of the package anyway. I imagine this is the kind of thing that varies from figure to figure, but still, I'm not too impressed on that. So they both have the rather large chain around the neck, which I've never really been a huge fan of. They made a big deal when they announced this figure that they were going to have a real metal chain, and that's great. But if you're going to have a metal chain, it seems to me that you have to make it sort of in scale. It looks like he's wearing literally a chain around his neck and not something that would be used to clasp his cloak. But in any case, it is basically identical to the original figure. Now, let's take a look at this helmet. It's basically a kind of a translucent purple. And if you look closely, you can see that there is a skull inside, and I was afraid originally that it was just a translucent helmet, but there is things underneath there for you to look at, so that's pretty cool. I mean, it does remind me of the scene. Now, when I was messing around with this head earlier, I managed fairly easily to get this to come off, and this is supposed to be glued on, so that's not a great thing, but you know, it's easy enough to fix. I thought it was interesting though, because it allows you to see much clearer what's underneath there. It's got here, I believe this is supposed to be lightning sort of traveling across his skull. It's kind of a cool look. It's not fantastic. My main complaint, I guess, is that it looks a little bit too much like just this translucent helmet plopped onto his body, which is exactly what it is. And if they had done something like maybe blend the look a little bit, like put some black paint at the bottom so that it looked like it was part of the rest of the figure more, it might be a better effect. But maybe that's too much to expect. I believe this is the same exact sculpt as the original figure. However, the original figure had eyes that looked really kind of oversized and weird, and they managed to avoid that slightly by coloring in sort of the skull's eyes underneath, not quite as big as the actual eyes on the helmet, so it actually looks a little bit better here. Of course, the original Vader has the removable helmet, which is a nice feature. Now, there's one other feature with this new one, aside from the translucent helmet, and that is the removable hand. Now, of course, as we all know, Darth Vader, just like everyone else in Star Wars apparently, gets his hand cut off by Luke when they're dueling. And so this comes off quite easily. Let's take a closer look. There we go. And there's a little bit of paint there to suggest some wires. It's not it's not exactly the most convincing thing in the world, but it's alright. This is just a little peg that fits in there. So, some people have wondered whether you could take this body with its removable hand and put this head on it, or vice versa. And the short answer is yes, you can do that. You can easily pop off this head. It's not nearly as hard as some of the other ones where you have to use hot water and soften up the plastic. This is quite easy to pop off. And this one was a little harder to pop off, but still. Not too bad. So there we got the head. And, we can just put the original head on this body if we so desire, giving us sort of a deluxe Vader with removable hand, which is kind of nice. I don't know that it's worth buying a full $20 or more figure just to get that feature, but it's kind of cool that you can do that. So this will, of course, allow you to recreate the scene where Vader is dying and removes his helmet and Luke is there, it looks pretty good, actually. And having the hand missing adds a little authenticity, I guess. But I think most people buying this figure are probably going to be using it to display maybe with the Emperor somehow. Let's see what we can do about that. So if you want to display it with Vader holding the Emperor over his head, it is theoretically possible to do so. It took me a good 5 minutes of messing around with various poses to get something that would be stable, and I don't know how long this is going to stay this way either, but the fact that they combined this rubber skirt with the soft goods on the Emperor really makes it tricky, and the fact that Vader's knees and legs are rather loose makes this really kind of a frustrating thing to try. It's too bad they didn't include some kind of force lightning. I mean, it probably would have been more appropriate to include that with the Emperor, but they could have also done it with this figure, and unfortunately they did not. Now, of course, they have done similar figures to this in other scales, the smaller scale, so you could probably repurpose some of that lightning. I don't happen to have any right now, but anyway, is it worth getting this figure? I mean, I guess it depends on how much of a completist you are with this line. It depends on how big of a Vader fan you are. I am not sure it's totally worth it for me. It's better than I thought it was going to be. I'll put it that way. Originally, as I said, I thought it was just going to be a translucent head, and it just didn't look that great. This looks better than I thought it would, but still, do I need a separate Vader just for this scene? I don't know. What do you think? Are you going to be getting this figure? Let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching. Oops.